If Ja Morant can fix this aspect of his game, it's literally over for the rest of the NBA. Ja has been one of the better players in the NBA ever since he was drafted, and not only was he putting up incredible numbers, he was also meshing very well with his teammates and proving to be a leader and help his team actually win basketball games. But quickly before we get the video started, for those of you who may not know, I'm Juicy Sports, I make opinionative NBA content, and if you guys enjoy videos similar to this, hit that subscribe button, that like button, and that post notification bell. I also want to quickly mention that I recently started up an MMA channel, and if you guys are interested in that, the link will be in the description. But anyways, let's get into it. Ja Morant was drafted with the number 2 overall selection during the 2019 NBA draft by the Memphis Grizzlies. And originally when Ja was getting drafted, it was pretty clear that this guy was a special talent, and the expectations that he had going into the NBA were extraordinarily high, due to the way he was playing during the regular season in college, but also especially the way he was able to perform in the NCAA tournament, where even though his team wasn't all that good, Ja was able to single-handedly win his team some games in the tournament. And after those performances, his draft stock was just extremely high. And the expectation that most had for Ja was this guy was going to be a superstar. Now, whether that meant sooner or later, it didn't really matter. People just saw Ja as a very, very special talent. But once he actually got drafted, it was pretty clear that this guy actually was a special talent, and he definitely was living up to expectations. As in his rookie season, he averaged 18 points per game on 47% shooting from the field, 3.9 rebounds on 7.3 assists per game as well. And those numbers are extremely impressive for anybody, but especially for a rookie. But even besides those numbers, when you just watched Ja play out there, it was just very apparent that this guy was special. The way that he was able to score for himself, but also create for others, was just at a very high level. And after his rookie season ended, the expectations were raised even further, because it was pretty clear that if Ja was able to play at that level just in his rookie season, just imagine how much better this guy can get with 3, 4, 5 years of NBA experience, and how he would compare to his counterparts at that point. Now, although most people expected Ja to continuously get better each and every season, there still at the same time was somewhat of a question on whether or not Ja would be able to improve his game after that rookie season, and if so, by how much. Because we have seen a ton of examples in the past of players with a ton of talent that played very well in the rookie season just completely fall off after that. And of course, it's not the same in every case, but typically the reason for that is that player obviously has a ton of talent, but they don't work all that hard on their game season after season, and eventually the rest of the NBA just figures them out. But going into his second season, it was pretty apparent that Ja was not going to be one of those players, and that he did work extremely hard in his game. As in his second year, Ja improved his numbers basically across the board, averaging 19 points per game on 45% shooting from the field, 4 rebounds on 7.4 assists. Now, although it wasn't much of an improvement from his rookie season statistically, there were some new aspects that Ja added within his game and some refinements, and he just looked a little bit better out there. But of course, it wasn't a huge upgrade from his rookie year. But in his third season, which was this previous season, that's really where Ja broke out. He significantly improved his stats across the board, averaging around 27 points per game on 49% shooting from the field, 5.7 rebounds on 6.7 assists. Now, probably the best thing about this season was not only was he putting up phenomenal numbers, but he was also helping his team win, and they had the best season in a long time. They were the second seed in the Western Conference, led by Ja Morant, and they were just playing great basketball as a unit. Ja specifically was doing a phenomenal job at scoring for himself by driving all the way to the basket and finishing at a pretty high level, either through contact, dunking over players, or just finishing around them with crafty layups. He was also doing a nice job of putting up floaters in the lane, but in my opinion, the most impressive thing was the way that he was setting up his teammates, and he really looked like an NBA veteran out there, just the way he was able to do it. He ran the pick and roll extremely effectively, either the pick and roll or pick and pop, and what made that so dangerous is when he ran it specifically with a guy like Triple J, for example, there was a threat of him dishing off the ball to Triple J, either for a dunk or layup for him, or there was also a threat that Ja would just keep it himself and score for himself. And overall, just the way he was able to play from top to bottom last season was just incredible to watch, and it was a significant significant improvement. Now, it was somewhat disappointing the way that the Grizzlies lost in the playoffs last year, not necessarily to the team they lost to in the Warriors that ended up winning a championship that season, but just the fact that the Grizzlies lost in the second round after having such a great regular season was certainly somewhat disappointing. But of course, the Grizzlies are very young and people expect them to continuously get better each and every season. So I definitely am very excited to see what the Grizzlies are able to do this season. But now let's get into the question of the video, which is what aspect of Ja Morant's game does he really need to improve at this point in order to make him an even better player than he already is at this point? Now, of course, for any player, there's always certain things that they can work on, and even if it's small little improvements that they make each and every season, eventually when you look back in 5 or 6 seasons, they're a completely different player than they were in the past. But I feel like for Ja Morant, he's so good at a bunch of different things, but the one glaring weakness, in my opinion, is the fact that he doesn't really shoot the 3 ball at a very high percentage. Now, of course, he's able to hit that 3-point jump shot, and he hits it at an okay percentage, I would say, but if Ja was able to add that within his game a little bit more, and really just be more of a threat from that 3-point range, I think it would benefit not only him, but also his teammates pretty significantly. Because at that point, if Ja was a really good 3-point shooter, the defense would need to respect him a little bit more from out there, and then he would be able to get to his bread and butter a lot easier, which is his driving and finishing ability. But also, if the defense backed off him, then he can just easily shoot that 3 ball, and if he hits it at a pretty high percentage, he would then be helping himself, but also his teammates as well. And overall, if Ja added that 3-point jump shot within his game, at least a little bit more than it is now, I think it would just open up a lot of things for him, as I mentioned before, driving all the way to the basket, but I also think it would open up a lot of things for his teammates because I think the paint would be a little easier to cut to. But of course, whenever you're talking about a player making an improvement this significant, it's not going to happen overnight, and this is something that I'm looking for Ja to improve slightly each and every season. Now, from the time Ja was drafted up until now, I definitely have seen certain improvements in terms of that 3-point jump shot, and it's definitely encouraging to see, but of course, I would just like to see him continue on that path of continuously improving his 3-point jump shot, and maybe even accelerating that process a little bit as well. And if he's able to improve that jump shot a little bit each and every season, I would say in 3 or 4 seasons from now, I see no reason not to believe why Ja wouldn't be, at the very least, a pretty good 3-point shooter, shooting around 37-38% from deep. Now, if I had to guess at this point, I would probably say, in my opinion, I do see Ja as a player that would improve his 3-point percentage to around 37% from deep. Now, I don't think Ja would ever be a great 3-point shooter or really good 3-point shooter, but if he's just at the very least decent, that's all he needs based upon the rest of his skill set. And of course, as I mentioned, I really think that's the next step for Ja. But anyways, let me know what you guys think in the comments. Do you think if Ja added a 3-point jump shot within his game, he would be unstoppable, or do you not think so? But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and if you did enjoy, check one of these 2 videos popping up now, and until the next time, peace out, guys.